Well, what's interesting with food scenes, what's interesting now is we're having a very, very difficult time finding staff, kitchen staff especially, because it used to be where you would work in New York or Chicago, San Francisco, maybe LA, if you were trying to sort of gain knowledge as a young cook. Now you can work anywhere. There are great restaurants everywhere. Not surprising, I think one of the best food cities in the country is Charleston. Great restaurants, great food culture. So I'm not surprised now to find great food in most places. You know, Cleveland, there's a great food scene in Cleveland. Florida finally is starting to have an independent food scene as opposed to the hotel food scene. So things are changing, in Miami, I should say. There are great restaurants in San Diego. There are I mean, it's just everywhere you go. St. Paul, you know, there's great restaurants everywhere. So it's changed a lot. And, you know, all these chefs who learn how to cook in some of these other cities, they're all going back home. I mean, we just, oh God, I'm forgetting a name here. Gavin Kaysen, who was the chef at Cafe Balut for years and years and years, went back to Minneapolis. That's where he's from, to open a restaurant. And he's one of the best chefs we had in New York. And so people are taking what they've learned in these big cities and moving back home and doing great stuff. And you know, now it used to be where the products were only available in some of the larger cities. Now you can get product anywhere. You know, you have great farmers and you know, doing stuff all over the country. So it's changed. It's good to see. It's hard to get cooks, but pretty much everywhere you go, there's going to be a restaurant in town that's really good.
No, actually, I have another question. I'm sorry if I'm cutting somebody off, but this past summer, I started spending an increasing amount of time up on the North Fork of Long Island, and I think you do also.
I have a house there, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's a new food scene that's starting to happen out there.
And it's not a restaurant scene; it's a food scene.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, also, I should say that, and I'm not plugging Bon Appetit, but they do a Best New Restaurant edition every year, and the majority of those restaurants are not from big cities; they're all over. Yeah, besides, so you're talking about restaurants, and I say this, you know, I've been on the North Fork for 13 years now, yeah. And there was a period of a couple of years where we were renovating a house and we weren't going, and I went back there, and all of a sudden you got someone doing, Holly Browder doing the most amazing eggs, and now she's doing chickens. You have Four Hands doing lamb. That's really amazing. You have, well, KK, actually, the woman just passed away. She had a biodynamic farm. We have another woman who does 150 varieties of tomatoes. There's South Hole Fish Market, I think, is the best fish market I've ever been to.
Completely agree.
I bought my peconic bay scallops there on Saturday. So there's this food culture that's happening outside of restaurants that I think is more exciting than the restaurant culture. When you look out, you know, you talk to a lot of young kids these days, they're not interested they're interested in making stuff. You know, they want to be beekeepers, they want to make honey. You know, they want to cure hams, they want to be butchers. And so there's this whole movement of going back to food that's sort of outside of the restaurant culture that to me is the most exciting thing happening in food today.